Hey everybody, welcome to Top 10 Thursday on the Leek. I'm John as always, and today we're going to take a break from Ixalan and go back, way back, to Unhinged. A while back I did my top 10 unglued cards and the video was a hit, and with Unstable only a couple of months away, let's take a look at my top 10 unhinged cards. Now Unglued, I bought a box the day it came out, played with it with friends regularly, I really knew that set. Unhinged, I wasn't around for, so my experience with the cards mostly comes from seeing them online, seeing jokes about them, stories about them, and a few of them that I do have down in my cube. So I went through the set, card by card, and picked out the 10 that I found most interesting, funny, or just weird. At number 10 is Curse of the Fire Penguin. Curse of the Fire Penguin consumes and confuses enchanted creature is a weird statement, and I'm sure caused some confusion, but the intent was that when you enchanted the creature, you actually turned that curse upside down and covered the enchanted creature's text box with it, turning them into a 6/5 penguin that, when it dies, you put that curse on something else. Very cool little design, reminiscent of the Kamigawa flip cards that were released only a month before Unhinged came out. Number 9 is Ambiguity. Whenever a player plays a spell that counters a spell that has been played, or a player plays a spell that comes into play with counters, that player may counter the next spell played, or put an additional counter on a permanent that has already been played, but not countered. This card plays on the fact that the word counter means multiple things in Magic, the confusion that can arise with plays and player and played, etc. Basically, whenever a player counters a spell, or plays a card that comes into play with a counter, you can counter the next spell, or you can proliferate a permanent. I enjoy the poking fun at the ambiguity of Magic language, which has gotten progressively better. For example, players no longer play spells. They cast spells. This card, were it updated to current standards, would be a whole lot clearer. And less funny. At number 8 is Asswhooping. This card just simply breaks the rules of Magic, Magic tournaments, and kind of social etiquette as a whole, and is exactly what I like unsets to do. Encourage fun and interaction in a group setting. Destroying a permanent in some other game is just something so far outside what you expect a Magic card to do that there's no way I couldn't include Asswhooping. Enter the Dungeon comes in at number 7 and is a cool throwback to an old card, which is another thing that I love unsets for. Shahrazad was a card from Arabian Nights that saw players playing a full sub-game, with the loser losing half of their life in the main game. Playing a presumably super quick 5-life game under the table, with the victor getting to tutor twice, is just a really fun little quirk. Number 6 is Old Fogey, because I can't get enough of nostalgia hits in unsets as well. Old Fogey is a dinosaur, synergy with Ixalan, who piles up on the obsolete, weird, and sometimes misunderstood creature mechanics of the past. It has phasing, so it pops in and out of the game each turn. A cumulative upkeep of 1, so every turn you have to pay 1 more mana than the last turn to keep it alive. Echo, so you've got to repay the cost the next turn after you play it. Fading 3, so it only sticks around for 4 turns because fading's really weird. Bands with dinosaurs that we won't even talk about. Protection from Homerids, a creature type we haven't seen since the early 90s. Snow-covered planeswalk. Flanking, -1/-1 to blockers unless they also have flanking. And Rampage 2, a +2 boost for each creature beyond the first blocking it. Also, it's a 7/7 for 2, and it's the only card in the set to use the old border, as opposed to the 8th edition border that we were familiar with until the M15 border. Super cool, if maybe a little bit hard to utilize or even remember what its abilities all do. In addition to Old Fogey, there was a spell version called Blast from the Past, which I have at number 5 and is actually one of the few cards in my cube. Blast from the Past combines all the old spell mechanics, though most of these are pretty well known and in fact recently seen, including Madness, Cycling, Kicker, Flashback, and Buyback, with Buyback being the only one that we haven't really seen in the past 5 or 6 years. It's not a terribly powerful spell with what it does, but having a ton of options to play it is really fun, and that's why I have it in my cube. So number 5, Blast from the Past. Number 4 is Booster Tutor, which I don't have in my cube, though I do have the similar holiday card Stalking Tiger in my cube. Being able to grab a pack from whatever pack you want off the shelf or in your stock and tutor up the best card for you from it is just a really cool effect, and a card that I'm sure stores loved seeing opened at Unhinged event because that player was probably going to buy several extra packs that night. Very fun effect and quite powerful in cube, where you actually get to choose a cube pack. Open that and choose a card from it. Number 3 is another card in my cube, Who, What, When, Where, Why. Invasion introduced split cards, and Unhinged took it to the ridiculous extent of having 5 cards on one. Every card is basically an okay-ish version of a sideboard card, except for the white one, which is garbage, which is why I have it in my cube. It's basically a free pick near the end of the pack. As I've said, one of my favorite things with unsets is when they explore ridiculous but 100% playable designs like this. Richard Garfield, PhD, comes in at number 2. The creator of Magic himself has a card in the set with a completely different aesthetic than the rest of the set. Being able to play a card as though it were any card with the same mana cost sounds fun, but it's actually a Magic variant that people already played called Mental Magic. Codifying that Magic variant and having it become part of a real game of Magic is a very cool idea. Finally, at number 1 is a card that I personally wouldn't have had at number 1, but I can't imagine how much the comments would blow up if I didn't include it. And that, of course, is Chiti Face. Chiti Face is blue, blue, blue for a 2/2 flyer, but you can sneak it into play at any time without paying for it, so long as an opponent doesn't catch you. If they do, you gotta exile it. This is definitely a fun idea, and you're not breaking the game getting a 2/2 flyer, but it is decent. However, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this card has to come into play from your hand. You can't just drop the pile of them from your deck box when your opponent goes to get you a drink from your Ashnod's coupon plan. This comes direct from Mark Rosewater, who is the rules manager of Unhinged and Unglued, just so you know. Still a very fun idea, and the codifying cheating into the game of Magic is something that we can only really explore in the realm of unsets. That's going to wrap it up for my top 10 cards of Unhinged. Definitely let me know what your favorites are in the comments down below. We should be getting spoilers for Unstable a little over a month from now is my guess, and I'm beyond excited for that set. I'll be recording drafts in store and giving recaps of them, and I have potential plans for actually live streaming an entire draft with feature matches with card recognition software. No promises, but I've got all the equipment, I've tested it, and it's something that I really want to try. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know. You can find me on Twitter at TheManaLeek, that's L-E-E-K, like the vegetable, not the card. You can also find me at Facebook.com/TheManaLeek, Twitch.tv/TheManaLeek, and Patreon.com/TheManaLeek. If you do have questions, comments, or suggestions, just let me know. Otherwise, see y'all next time.